Hey, everybody. Kenzie didn't give me the prompt. You're on. We're super excited to have you guys with us tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple of things that I have on my mind, and then we'll move into the Q&A. We'll try and keep it short. I don't want to, the idea is to not have the recording be so long where people are like, geez, be done already. So we will, I'd love to hear like a couple of testimonies about how this challenge is affecting your interaction with people or enrollments or something that you just can pointedly say it is specifically because of the challenge that we're doing. Does anybody have anything?
Can I share my, it's Valerie.
Hi, Valerie.
I had to make tick spray today, and I was like, well, I might as well do it on a live, right? So, but I posted in here that it really made me, like, because I was, like, trying to make it okay, like, oh, well, maybe you use off, or, you know, like, and I was like, why do I do that? Like, I just need to talk confidently about this spray that I'm making and these products that I love. And I've had lots of people like, hey, where was that tick spray recipe you were talking about? Where did you do that? Where did you know? And I'm like, it's on my profile. It's on my profile. So thank you, because I don't do a lot on my personal profile anymore because it was like, you know, only supposed to do so many posts on your personal, you know, just all of that. So it kind of got me out of my box. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to share?
I would love to, if I may. This is
Yes, ma'am.
Tonight I got a text from an East Coast friend who is a stroke survivor and is having a lot of trouble with pain. She had purchased some oils around Christmas time, and I said, are you using your oils? And she said no, because the pain is all on the right side. And I'm thinking, well, why not use the oils? So frankincense was one of them, and I had her put some on the roof of her mouth, and in about 10 minutes as we were talking online, then I asked her how it's feeling, and she says, oh my goodness, it's a lot better. And so it's just another personal reaffirmation that these oils are good. And I tried to keep my conversation with her on the listen to her, not complaints, but listen to her stating the facts and about how she's reacting to the pain medications, and then listening to her again when she was talking about the frankincense. And it turns everything to them instead of to you. And I really like that.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll go.
Go, Corey.
So obviously the checklist had a huge impact on me to get started and get going and find a rhythm and the day-to-day stuff that I need to do every day. Kind of took it one step farther already and created a group to kind of focus on the guy stuff along with health, but how to also use the stuff around the house and how you can use it with your car, et cetera, hopefully to drive more attention to the guys, but most importantly, just spend more time on my personal profile to build the relationships, and then I can invite them over to the group and be spammy if I want to, and then I don't have to be concerned with the spammy part. So it's been working out pretty well so far.
Awesome.
Seeing some engagement, so that's awesome.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that. Awesome. Okay, so if you have a piece of paper and pencil handy, you'll probably need that. I just have a couple of questions, a couple of things I need you to write down, and you'll fill these out after the call, because it'll be good for you to just take some time to do that. we've touched on this a little bit, but I think it kind of goes along with one of the main things that I want to talk about tonight. So if you're ready, the first thing that you're going to write down is, what do you love? What are you passionate about? What are your interests? So that'll be number one. So basically, I got this from Eric Worre. So like I said last week, I'm doing a ton of Eric Worre stuff more so. I'm just kind of getting back into it. So this is something that I did in the beginning before I even found this and found Eric. So this is very universal in whatever you do in life, whether it's your business, your family, or whatever. I think that this is very impactful, just to be able to help to build your network and the people around you. So in it states, you attract people by your actual passions. The secret sauce is talking about your passions and attracting like-minded people. So in this, you need to write down what drives you. Jennifer, is this triggering something for you, or I'm watching you?
I'm trying so hard not to jump in and go, oh my God, you're in my head, because I just listened to his exact podcast before we got on the call, and I was going to talk about brand and what are you passionate. I'm kind of got goosebumps right now that you were like in my head. So I'm like freaking out because this is exactly what I was going to share about tonight was brand, but I'm just going to, yeah, that was pretty awesome that you were.
Okay, the next one is, who do you want to reach, and where can you find them? So those are the two main things that I want you to really think about when you're answering these questions. So this is to help you to identify your specific audience and then find out where they live. So this goes along with some people they're feeling a little blocked as far as reaching out with and sending friend requests and doing that part of it. So, and I think that if you do this, what some of this goes along with is finding your avatar. So they call it your avatar. It is the person that you are specifically talking to. And we talked a little bit about this, I think, on our first call. So when you're thinking about posting, or you're thinking about finding your contacts, you really want to know ahead of time before you step out and do that. It's not going to do you any good to go willy-nilly and send out 100 friend requests with people that you would not want to be in the same room with. You don't have any interests, you don't have any desire to be friends with them, all of that. So if you can bring it back down to the basics of really who are you talking to? Who do you want to do business with? Who do you want to do life with? What are your interests and the interests of other people, so you can start to attract that like-minded group of people and increase that. So Jennifer, I'm going to let you do the branding part of it, because this is kind of goes back and forth. But what I want to talk about when it comes to this is the actual act of learning how to trust yourself. So I think what I'm seeing in some of the comments, and not just in the challenge, but in doing business in general, it's really easy to get caught up in the details of what we should be doing. And if we can step away from getting wrapped up in those details and really fine-tune our avatar, fine-tune the people that we're speaking to, fine-tune our message, and really learn how to trust who we are and that we're okay, some of that stuff that feels hard will start to subside. So when I started, it was like the first day, I think, that I ever talked to Natalie when we started talking about oils. And she said, you'll find that using the oils becomes intuitive. So there's a bunch of different buzzwords when it comes to trusting yourself. You listen, you listen to your gut, it's intuition, it's discernment, it's, that kind of stuff. But when it all boils down to it, it's a matter of practicing and really focusing on listening to what's happening in your gut. What are the whispers that are happening in your head? And for me, when I very first started practicing this, because it's practice, it's fine tuning the radio station. So you want to really be on purpose about listening to yourself and listening to that point of where it's yes or no. So I talk about it. I have conversations with God all day long. So my thing is God said. Some people might not like that, but my thing is God said. So when I am not sure about what I need to be doing, or I need direction, or who do I reach out to, I sit and listen, and then God says. But then there's also that part of us that we know, intrinsically, we know what the answer is. So it's a matter of just stepping back for a minute, taking a breath, and just really listening. It's just like the muscle testing and different things. I mean, we're coming in contact with so many different modalities of really helping us to become in tune with us, whether it's our physical being, our physical health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. It's when we take a minute and be on purpose and intentional about what is it that our bodies are saying. When you're getting ready to do a post, it's when I very first started doing posts way back then, I am telling you what, I was so nervous. Like nervous. It took me forever to hit the post button, and all I was doing is copying and pasting somebody else's positive quote. And so it was, for the comfort zone level of that, it was like, oh, should I do that? And because I was afraid of offending someone for a positive quote. Good grief. I mean, if somebody's going to be offended by a positive quote, what can I say? So what I found, though, is when I started to listen and just started to push that past that fear and that thumping of my heart and just hit post, I got confirmation. I would almost always get at least one message from somebody saying that was just what I needed today. And so when it comes to our checklist, the oils that we use, the posts that we do, the interaction that we're doing, when we decide, when we take it to the next level, when we're off, when we're doing our messaging on Facebook and all of that, you know when it is going to be the right time to take it to the next level. You know what you need to post that day. You know what activities you need to do that day in order to increase your business or whatever it is, the goal that you're going for. It's just a matter of listening to yourself, trusting yourself, and then taking action. Does that make sense? I've just found that the more we can really focus on that, it really helps to take away some of the confusion. I mean, the world is super noisy, and then we have clutter in our home, we have clutter in our life, we have lots of people in our life, And the idea is to bring in more people into our life, and in order to be able to help and serve people. And so the sooner we can get in touch with us and really listen and pay attention to that, the easier it's going to be when that noise starts piling down on top of us, and you have lots of people vying for your attention. So whatever the size is that your team is, it's good to start practicing those habits today. Whatever it is that's going to be able to take care of you and to keep you in the most healthy state as you're moving forward in your business. Because if we're not healthy, if we're not in touch with ourselves, and we're not taking those steps to be who we're designed to be, we're going to struggle with the rest of the stuff that comes our way. So I think that's what I have for that. I'll let you talk about the branding part, Jen, and then I have a couple of other things.
Can I throw in a quote real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
This came from my personal development today. It says, what feels in the flow to you is going to bring you the fastest result. So kind of like what you were saying.
Yeah.
We all do this so different. So get out of the box and just do what you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I like that. And the other one is comparison is the thief of joy. If you can step into that space right now and figure out how you're going to combat that comparison thought that comes into your head, because everyone will have that. What was that? Everyone's going to have those thoughts that come up. But if you're prepared ahead of time, when those thoughts come up, you will be able to combat those, because comparison it needs to be nowhere in our thought process, nowhere in our heart, nowhere in our emotions. Comparison, when we start doing that, it is the enemy that is pounding lies into us. We are unique. There's no one like us. We have people specifically waiting for us, only us. That's pretty, I think that I heard that a long, long time ago, as far as our destiny and our purpose. And we are put here for a specific reason. And there are specific people that are waiting for us to step into our destiny. And when we don't step into our destiny, that person has to wait for somebody else to say yes. And so if we can really be on purpose about that, it's just going to make the rest of it more fun. It's going to be easier. We're going to know how to fight that stuff off, and be intentional about fighting that stuff off. So go, Jen.
That's amazing. And that I'm literally was still blown away that you were talking about that Eric Worre, because I listened to that like right before we got on. But it ties into being authentically you. So, when we're talking about staying true to who you are, taking care of finding your passion. So I listened to that podcast before I came on, and it was Eric Worre, and he was talking about branding. And so branding is, it can be a scary term because we think business, right? We think branding, we think business, and it's really not. It's showing who we are authentically. So like Romy said, what's your passion? What drives you? What do you love? So, a lot of times it ties also again into what she was saying was, who do you want to be a part of your circle? Like, who do you want? What kind of people do you want to attract to your team? So when you're authentically yourself and you're sharing your passion and you share what you love, and like he touched on important parts. What do you stand for? What's important to you? What do you stand against? Again, taking out some of the things that can be conflict of a negative conflict. But if you love gardening, show that through your profile. Show that you love that. If you love, if you're passionate about cooking, share that with your people. So it's important to brand yourself. It doesn't have to be done overnight. It can be done in bits and pieces, touching upon putting that picture of yourself. Make it a picture of you, showing your big smile, your big, beautiful face with a smile, and that banner, show that banner to be something that you love. Because when people are coming to your profile and they're coming to look at your storefront, they want to see what you're all about, and they want it summed up in about 3 seconds. And, it's important just to kind of, again, stay authentically who you are. Getting on those lives, don't change a thing of how you would be if you were to sit and talk to a bunch of people at a dinner table. Stay true to who you are, and that branding becomes important later on down the road. He put out a good example. When you think of some famous people, when you think of Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, he's dressed in suits and ties, and that's his brand. Or when you think of these people and what they represent, what do you want to represent? So that's kind of the branding part of it, but it definitely ties into what is your passion, what do you love, what do you want to share with the world, and besides essential oils. So that's kind of what I had on the branding part. And also to go off of what Romy was saying with the logistics behind that sheet, that sheet, again, it's made for a guideline for us. The 6 posts a day, the posting to the groups, the messaging 5 people, it's a guideline. So if you just start, like I mentioned this to someone today, you just got to start. You have to start with something and work your way forward with that. But don't think too far into that logistic of that page. It's really just a guideline for you. So like Romy said, have fun with it. Have fun with it. Don't let it consume you, but have fun have fun doing it. Make it enjoyable. So,
and I encourage you to when you think about the checklist as you're doing it, please be on purpose about paying attention to what you did do, not what you didn't do. So it's super important to celebrate the success and the action that you're taking, and don't beat yourself up about what you didn't get to that day, because it is all a process. It's just a process. You're doing it. You're here. You're showing up. You're participating in the group. It's that alone is a success. It's action. And so I think it's awesome. I think overthinking the checklist is going to get us in trouble. And so like Jen says, it's a guideline. Celebrate what you're getting done. Celebrate what you're learning. Celebrate your breakthroughs. Celebrate stepping outside of your comfort zone. How many on here didn't do a live until you started this challenge? So that's, doing a live is a big deal. I know we have people on here that lives, getting in front of the videos and getting in front of people and talking, it's no big deal to them. Nothing. For those of you that are like me, it's a big deal. So if you did a live and have never done a live before, congratulations. If you're consciously stepping outside of your comfort zone and stepping outside of the box of what you would normally do, congratulations. That's awesome. This is, we're 15 days into the challenge, and you guys are still here. Kenzie and I talked about it, last week, and it's a common conversation with leaders about trying to help people to stay engaged in whatever it is that we're doing, because we put all of our effort and everything that we have into something to help a group to be able to be successful, and a whole bunch of people jump on board, and then all of a sudden it's crickets. And so you guys are here. That's awesome. And the challenge is I am just loving what's happening with the people that are part of the challenge. Just the emotional aspect of what's happening. We're not looking at at the rank or the enrollments or any of that stuff. If you are getting that, fantastic. But that is not part of what this challenge is right now. This challenge is just to help you to step into who you are and to move forward in something that might be different for you, or something that you might have been interested in learning how to do. So, and I was going to say something else, and I can't remember.
I was just going to add to that. I chuckled when you started in on that, because that was one of the first things I bought, was the Social Media Mastery by Eric Worre. And I've probably listened to at least the first 6 chapters, probably 20 times each on my way to work and back. And so now I actually have a whiteboard in my office that has summarized of each of those chapters. So it's kind of funny that you started and I knew exactly. I was writing it down. I'm like, wait, that's on my whiteboard.
Awesome.
I think that's worth every penny from my perspective. And it's every time I listen to it, I hear something I didn't hear before. So it's just kind of that repetition of helping you get it in your head that it's what to do. Then when we hit the checklists, you kind of already have that thought of where to start. So you don't have to be focused so much on the checklist.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Repetition is super important. I know for me, as somebody that thinks about, I mean, I try and come up with stuff that's going to be helpful each week. And I think about, well, we talked about that. And I worry about repeating myself. I worry about that repetition. But if you follow any motivational speaker, Les Brown, my gosh, that dude is amazing. He will inspire you and motivate you, and you will hear parts of his story with every talk that he gives. It's repetition. And so it's the same with moving forward and grabbing a hold of what works for you. And repetition is going to be what keeps it in there. So if you've listened to a book, I have books that I just love, and I am not a person that will read a book. I don't care how much I love the book. I don't do it twice. It's just move on. But there's some of the personal development books that I've been listening to and even reading. Those are, I have books that I just love to continue to listen to. They're just good. And like Corey said, you hear something new every time. And along those lines is whatever training you go to, whatever book you listen to or read, it's not about absorbing everything and taking on everything. It's about taking what you want and leave the rest. And if we can stay in that mindset, it will release some of that expectation of performance for us. We are not meant to grab a hold of everything. We're meant to have just the little tidbits here and there. And then if we circle back around, then we'll be ready for the next set of tidbits. So, Kenzie, do you have anything on that?
The only thing I was going to throw in with that is Romy and I were kind of chatting yesterday about being an influence online, right? And I think a lot of people with these posts that we're creating is this lifestyle that people get to see over and over. And can you hear me?
Yes.
And like with me and my business as a virtual assistant, we were talking about this, and I have never had someone call me and say, or email me and say, cold call, I want to work with you. I just haven't, because I don't advertise myself that way. I just post authentically myself online, let people get to know me, and each of the clients that I've attracted has come through another client. So they're all interconnected. And I think that's really critical in doTERRA. It's the same way. I do have a small doTERRA team. Thank you. I've reached the rank of silver. And it's the same process with that. You know, it's like we're all connected. I think that's a critical piece of this is if you're not tapping into the people on your team, you're really missing the boat. So look for that referral and that influence of who you can bring in with you on this journey, because what you were just talking about, the personal development piece, I feel like that's like 75% of my job. Like I get to talk personal development 75% of the day. And people love that about me. That's my favorite thing about myself, is how much I love to talk to people about real life in a positive way. And I think that the more you spend time doing things like that, just over time, you just shift and evolve, and you'll bring those people with you, kind of like this call, right? Like we're all on here. There's 26 of us with this like-minded mentality and lists and place we want to be. Like I promise you, there are so many more than 26 people of us in the world that want to be on this call. And Jennifer, will you share your quote you posted in the group? Because I love it.
With the how many million people are on social media? So off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact number, but it was like 2.62. It was billion or million. I don't know exact. 2.62, I'm going to say billion people on social media. 1.41 are on Facebook alone. That means there is enough people to go around for us to all have on our teams. Like this is, you can touch hundreds, if not thousands of people with one live. And the power behind that for you to share your story, to share who you are, that's like let that sink in for a second. That is mind blowing. That is, and it's growing every day. That number is like, as of just, it's consistently growing. Social media is the change. It's going to stay. It's not going anywhere. Actually, Eric, we're always talking about it. Like if we thought back when 10 years ago, TV was a big thing, right? Now, TV is almost non-existent for a lot of people. It's YouTube, it's the phones, it's the tablets. It's evolved and it's staying, and it's going to be the way of business eventually. So to get into the habits of doing this now, to kind of, testing the waters, getting your feet wet, you guys, we're all ahead of the game. So, and what a great way to connect with so many people. Literally all over the country, if not all over the world, for some of us that can eventually build even further. It's an amazing concept. So
yeah,
something for a billion.
Eric Worre says Facebook is King Kong for the social media, for the platforms, and which I find ironic because he didn't believe that in the beginning when I first started. He did not believe that. So that is another classic example of learning how to shift how you think about how things should be, and really just be teachable and flexible, and just be willing and ready to move when it's time to move. So I think Facebook is going to be around for a long time, but it's also educating ourselves about what else is out there and just be ready to learn. We're constantly learning, and you don't need money to learn. There's plenty of free resources out there to be able to get what you need to move you forward.
So can I share some numbers that so a lot of us think Facebook are for millennials, right? Or Instagram's millennials, or Snapchat, all of those, all of these social media platforms. And he actually, out of a poll, he took how much the percentage of the millennials or the young groups are. And to be quite honest, it was 18% of it was the 18 to 24. Majority of that, it's well spaced out. So basically 18% is that 18 to 24, 25 to 33 makes up 23%, 35 to 44 is 19%, 45 to 54 is 17%, and 65 and over is 10%. So it's such a well-rounded percentage of people. So finding your tribe, your circle, it's not impossible at all.
Yeah. And we all have a tribe.
Yep.
No, you don't see your tribe. If you're not seeing your tribe yet, or you're not aware of your tribe, we all have a tribe, and it's super important to have a tribe. And it's super, super important to have that bubble of people that are around you that are going to lift you up and keep you moving forward. So I can never remember exactly how it is, how they say it, but we are the 5 people that we hang out with the most. So if you're hanging out with people that are busted and broke in their head, and they have no desire to move out of that space, then maybe you need to move out of that space. So I believe wholeheartedly in being available to help people and be that person to lift people up and help people to move forward. But be very, very careful about who you invite into your circle and allow to speak into your life. Very, very careful about that. Kenzie, you were going to say something?
I was going to say like kick them out. Like it's not just like something you dance around. It's like you're done.
Bye-bye.
I think it's important too that in your own space specifically, you keep that real pure. And like Romy said, you can go out and help people that you know you can lift up. I wanted to address Victoria's comment in the chat.
Okay.
So Victoria said that she had someone contact her. They have anxiety. They're flying in September, but she knows her sister is already enrolled. So she knows it probably won't be a potential WA. And if she handled that right. One, don't count anybody out. This happens a lot. That's her choice, who she chooses to enroll with. She may not be interested in enrolling with her sister. So don't discount her. But ask her. You need to make sure to give her that information up front. This is how doTERRA works. We're on teams. If you want me to help you, you'd be on my team. I understand your sister already has an account. If you want to stick with family, I totally get that. So give them their choice. I've had so many people purchase oils from other people that I thought never would because of their relation to someone else. Some people just truly are going to connect with you and want to be part of your tribe. And then my other point on that was going to say, it's awesome, one, that people are just commenting knowing you're the oil expert. People are just messaging you knowing that, hey, you know what you're talking about. So that's a huge, trust to you that says, hey, you're on the right track. People notice you and they know you're the one to go to with their questions.
Awesome. Who loves those personal messages where someone sends you that little note that says, oh my gosh, you have helped me so much? Those messages are like a drug, I think. It is so cool to know that we're in a space to be able to do that. When I very first started doing this, I would send messages just to really just say, I just want to bless you with a good day, or something along those lines. And the response from just a simple message was incredible. And then the conversation goes farther. But it's fantastic to know that we help people, and we know that we're helping people. But when you get that confirmation and that personal confirmation from somebody, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I had an experience this week that all my quotes and stuff, I've, of course, adding value to those quotes. Actually had a random friend of my sister's that I only know a little bit from going home. When we go home to visit, sent me a message saying, thanks for all the positive and quotes that you've been sending out. It made my day. And I was like, wow, right? One person at a time. It might not be everybody, but that shows that what we're doing is going to attract our following to eventually, work our way into the process. So, I thought that was pretty inspiring. Even if nothing becomes of it, it's still great that I'm providing value to somebody.
Exactly. And that's really, for me, that's what I stick with is if I can bring value to somebody and they become a friend, awesome. If they join my team, awesome. But they're still a friend. And that's where if we focus on the friendship part of it, it takes away that pressure. And what we've talked about before is it is all about the one. We're not going to we're not going to touch everybody that we come in contact with. We're not going to jive with everybody that we come in contact with. But if we do one, that's awesome.
And I'd like to say something, Corey, because if you're in it long enough, and I haven't been in doTERRA more than 3.5 years, but I have been in this positive mindset for a lot longer than that. And if you're in it long enough, that is going to come back to you somehow through somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
So you always are guaranteed a benefit from all the positive things you do and say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Thanks for that, Iris. That was good. I agree. Okay, we're at 10:02 already. Oh my gosh. I could just hang out with you guys and time just flies. I want to recommend a book that I just got done listening to. Mark actually bought it quite some time ago, and it took me forever to listen to it. So it's called More Than a Pink Cadillac. The author is Jim Underwood. It's actually about Mary Kay Ash, who is the one that started Mary Kay. It's a really, really good book. It talks about her philosophy in her business. One of the things I was telling Kenzie that made a big impact on me for some reason, she was talking about she was telling stories about how people got started and, you know, some of the down and out stories, and Gloria Banks happened to be one of them. But she referenced the year of when these leaders started doing this in Mary Kay, and it was 1968 and 1969. And that was really impactful for me, because some of the stories that she's talking about from way back then, that's around the time Karina was born, I think. That was a long time ago. So way back then, and then now, the stories that we hear today, if she wouldn't have said the year, I would have thought that she was talking about present day, because it was just, it's the same. Our lives, we just have stuff in our lives, and then we get the opportunity to make something better of our lives, and we get that opportunity, and we are offering an opportunity to people in the same way that we were given that opportunity. One of the other things that I really loved about what her philosophy was, she built her business on this, and she encouraged everybody that joined her business, is that it's God, family, and then business. And that's what she talked about. That's what she pushed. That's the way it was. And the way that I look at it is Mary Kay's been around for a long, long, long time. doTERRA is young, and we are going to be around for a long, long, long time. So it kind of goes along with what Jen's talking about just on Facebook, the amount of people that are on Facebook, but the amount of people that are in the world, and for how long this is going to be around. We have a business that we are going to be able to pass down to our family and bless generations to come. It's going to be around for a long time. And so that just kind of goes along with the philosophy of network marketing as a whole. But I just loved the different things that she talked about with the leadership, and it really is the stuff that we talk about all the time. It's serving others, and it's relationship, and all of what we talk about. And that's what she based her business on. That's how she created her business. And so if Mary Kay Ash can be that successful with that philosophy, with just reaching out and serving people and loving people and putting God, family, and business in that order, we can do that. We can totally do that. So,
Romy, I was going to just give a tip for everybody maybe struggling with the 10 minutes a day for that education. I'm currently using Audible, for exact reason why I said my 30-minute commute to work every day, I can practically read a whole book in an hour of my commute time. So
Yeah.
if someone's struggling for 10 minutes, put it in your iPhone, get it on your headset, and you can at least get 10, 15 with a lot of the activities we're probably wasting time on. So just a thought.
Yep. Thank you. Especially if you got junk running around in your head, if it's rattling, get something good going in there. I don't care if it's good music, good audiobook, and there's all kinds of different music, and I love all kinds of different music. But if you're listening, and I love rock loud, and I love rock hard. But if your head is rattling around some negative stuff, don't pick the songs that is full of anger and all of that negative stuff. Wait until you're in a good place if that's what you listen to. Find something that's gonna replace the negativity that's rattling around in there. So, all right. I had one more thing I was going to talk about.
Romy,
Yes, ma'am.
did you see Dana's post or question?
Nope.
Her husband, I'm summarizing, her husband's not thrilled about the social media and the time that it's taking and the lack of results in his mind. It may be beneficial for Jim's perspective on it as far as the graphics, to be able to pull the graphics and show him what exactly it means.
Oh, the residual income part?
Yes, the residual income part, so that he understands that it's not.
Yeah, we do have Jim created, Jim is our money dude. He's awesome with all of that. But Karina, you created the graphic with the information that he gave you, didn't you? So maybe we'll share that graphic with you, Dana, that talks about how much even a small fast start check is worth over the course of time for your residual. But the thing that I want to speak to with that part of it, as far as, well, actually, let's see. Neil, did you start with Crystal right out of the gate?
Yes, I was. No, not at all. I was on board with her doing it, but I wasn't on board with her snake oil from the beginning.
So that is what is happening with what you're talking about, Dana. That is classic for men in general. Not all men, but that is what happens when they talk about where men believe that this is just a hobby, and when is your hobby going to start making money? And men usually don't believe that this is a viable profession for a woman until the income starts to come in, and then all of a sudden you're surpassing his income. So just kind of cut him some slack for a little bit, because his belief is not there yet, but it will get there. I guarantee once the checks start coming in, he'll become a believer. The brain is just different in that way. Kevin, do you want to talk about that for a second?
That's pretty much exactly where I was. So, and it took me nearly 3 years to get to that point. And
Okay.
I was very, somewhat successful in my career, and I enjoyed my career. So, and I had a long-term plan for my career, and never envisioned us being, where we're at and doing what we're doing now. It's entirely different from what I ever thought my, life progression would follow. But it's my only regret is I wish I would have seen it sooner.
And didn't think his mother-in-law was crazy. I found out about that after the fact. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it does come around.
Very true.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. It's one of those things. I know he'll come around eventually. I mean, I'm a chiropractor, so it's like, he still doesn't trust everything that I do as chiropractor, and he has to get adjusted all the time. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that getting him to see that the potential for residual income is there.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. The belief levels are all different. Mark used to put the pillow over his head when I would come to bed because he couldn't stand the smell of the oils.
I still do sometimes.
Yeah. And I just say, you'll get over it.
Right.
So can I add something to this?
Yes, ma'am.
So when I first started, he was working out of town, gone 90% of the time. He was gone for like 2 to 3 weeks at a time, home for a couple of days. Well, I decided to do Diamond Club and dive right in, and I was doing my own PowerPoints and my own and everything. And so when he was home, he watched the kids, and there were many times where he would get frustrated because I was doing my PowerPoints and working and spending my time doing everything for my classes, because it took away from our time together because he was traveling and gone all the time.
And it didn't make me money. Not at the beginning.
Not at the beginning. It didn't. He kind of laughed and rolled his eyes when I got my first $37 check and was kind of like, okay, when's the real money coming? He didn't say that, but that's basically the gist of it. So, but everybody has their struggles right in the beginning, and there were many nights where it was like, I just have to do this right now. It'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think with that, I'm going to throw in one more plug real quick.
Okay.
Just as far as being a partner with someone, that seems to be the person that we trust, right? So when we have all this going on, and that's the person we talk to and tend to throw up on. I've done that a lot with my husband, right? That's the person you talk your frustration with and what's going on and all these things and blah, blah, blah. And it's just one more thing that they're watching you deal with. And sometimes the struggle isn't so much their belief on it. It's the struggle they feel watching you do it. Because they just want you to be happy. They just want you to be, you know what I mean? And I see that a lot, with just life. So like Romy said, I would just cut him some slack and pour some love on that man, put some oils on him, and I think we all go through that. So thanks for sharing. That's kind of a long space to say, but thanks for sharing, because I think we all can do a little better with our partners and,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate all the feedback. It's just, it's like I want him to be interested and get on board. And he does sometimes, like he sees the benefits when I put it on the kids. So he's always like, oh, quick, get the oils. So, it's like, it's there.
Dana, has he used them on himself yet?
I've started putting them on him, even though he hasn't asked me to. When he gets into like a funk, I'll just kind of go put something on him. And sometimes when he walks out the door in the morning, he'll say, can you put something on? Mm-hmm. He doesn't know what it is, but so
he will soon be using all kinds of things. And that is when you know that they're coming around, because my husband now has 4 or 5 different blends on his nightstand, and he uses them all before he goes to bed. And yes, he takes the LV, all this stuff. So you're getting there.
Yeah, I told him, I said, just throw your Deep Blue in your golf bag and just let everybody at golf use it when they start complaining that they're not hitting it because their back hurts.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And I would just say too, when one of the big things that helped me was going to convention. So when I went there and saw that this wasn't just like a cult, there were a lot of people there, and this was a big deal for me to go there and just feel the energy that was there and talk with other people and meet other men who were there and talk with them, and just being in that environment was so energizing and uplifting that I just felt like that's when we really started working this hard, and when I saw the potential that it had. So going to those corporate events, I think, could be really big to get husbands to see the potential.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think the main thing to remember for all of us as we're doing this is that it's this is really something new for the majority of us. It's a new way of life. It's a new way of thinking. I mean, in the corporate world, how many times does your boss encourage you to read a personal development book to make you make you better? It's coming around more and more, but it's not. The investment in who we are is not the same in the corporate world as it is in this kind of industry. So it's all a learning experience, and we just got to stick with that part of it in our own time. So, okay, we're right at the hour. We better shut the recording off anyway.